Let me tell you something about debt. It is said that debt is the worst form of poverty. And it is true. Whenever you are indebted to someone, you are forever indebted to them. You owe them until such a time when you shall have paid in full what you borrowed from them. At the end of the month, you will have to deny yourself so many things to ensure that money that you borrowed is paid back. So true is this fact that if you had borrowed money from a bank or those mobile lending apps, when the month ends or when it nears end month or the debt which you said you shall pay the installment, the bank will reach out to you. They will look for you and ask you to pay their money. At any particular point, if you have a debt, if you owe anyone, someone, money, you should know that it is some form of slavery. You will, at the end of the day, be obliged to pay that money. Financial analysts and advisors will tell you, pay off your debt fast. Pay your bills on time. History has said that the man who pays their debt on time is quickly forgotten. And yet the one who does not pay on time is forever remembered. How practical is this? The example I just gave, if you owe someone money, they will remind you every single time. If you owe someone money, they will reach out to you to ask when you're paying this money. And if it's a bank, if you do not pay back this money, they take you to the Credit Reference Bureau where your name shall be listed. And before it's listed, they will ask you to please pay up before you're listed. And when you are listed, it will take you at least 2 years to be able to clear your history. Everybody will remember that you borrowed and did not pay back for at least 2 years before you can be credit worthy. He who pays their debt on time and always is quickly forgotten. But he who does not, he who stays, he who forgoes, he who refuses to pay is remembered either positively or negatively. When you borrow, it is also a reflection on you. If you borrow and pay back on time, when you need this help, your friend, your family, your neighbor, even the bank will be willing to lend you money because they know that you pay on time. But if you borrow and do not pay on time, it is going to be a problem. Everybody will refer to you. If I wanted to borrow money today, I will call up a friend. And one of the things they will do is call their other friend as well and ask, what do you think about this guy? He has asked me for some money and I do not know if he can pay or not. How you handle the debt you had with these people will inform the decision of them going forward to give you something or not going forward not to give you something. So remember, when you borrow, it is a reflection on your own self and on your reputation. But every single time you borrow money, and I have learned this the hard way during this season, whenever you borrow money, you rob your future self. That time you sit down and ask someone, please give me 10,000, give me 100,000, give me 5,000, give me 100. You are robbing your future self. What that means is, in future, when that time comes when you are supposed to pay the debt and there is something you needed to do, you will not be able to do that thing. At the end of the day, you will have to take this money and pay back from the person that you borrowed. And so what you wanted to do at that time, you cannot do. You have robbed your future self. So it would be wrong to borrow today for something that is unnecessary and to fulfill a need for today. Because in future, when that time comes and you needed the money, it will not be there because you have robbed yourself already. Rather than buying new pieces of cloth, rather than saving up and maybe getting that insurance cover that you wanted for your health, maybe going for that trip, it will be impossible because you have robbed yourself from earlier on. So take note of that. You should only borrow when actually you need to borrow, when there is something that needs to be done and it is going to be a fruitful something. Because from the borrowing that you borrow, two things arise: a bad debt or a good debt. A bad debt is one that cannot be paid. It cannot be retired. There are no means and methods or mechanisms in place to replace what you borrowed. However, a good debt is one where you have borrowed, you have the understanding of what you have borrowed, and you have a good plan of how you're going to pay it back. If you borrow to invest as capital in a business that you hope will work, and the business works, it does not become a bad debt, it is now a good debt because you have a way of paying it back. However, if you borrow a loan, if you borrow money for a need that is going to be satisfied at that time, and it will not have any value, or it will not return anything else back to you, then you will be the one to struggle with that debt, and at the end of the day, you'll be in a situation whereby the debt has become bad. So you can borrow, but what are you borrowing for? Why are you robbing your future self? Why do you want to be this person who is either remembered or forgotten too quickly? And why do you want to invest in this worst form of poverty? It's a question that you must ask yourself. But the take-home message is this. If throughout this period you have survived, if throughout this period the little that you get, the little that you have earned, you have planned for it, you have planned well, you have cut down on unnecessary expenditure, and actually you have learned a particular lesson about yourself that you didn't know, about your finances that you did not know. If at all at this time you have survived with the little that you have, then I pray that the lesson that you have picked up on your finances today you apply it even into the future, so that when things come back to normal, you don't go back to the normal. You now start continuing with what you have learned and picked up now, so that in the future you can secure yourself, and should this happen again, you will be well cushioned.